And as countries recognize the need to transition away from fossil fuels and reach net zero carbon emissions by 2050, CNA's Roland Lim brings us up to speed with the latest in the nuclear energy space. He's joining me live at the SANS Expo and Convention Center. Roland, good morning. Take it away.
Thanks, Julie. As nuclear very much on the table, from small nuclear designs to keeping older plants running longer, Asia remains the engine for global nuclear growth, and the IEA predicts that its global share by 2030 will be 30%. Well, to talk more about this explosive growth, I'm joined by Sama Bilbao y León, Director General of the World Nuclear Association. Sama, good to have you on the show as always. I want to talk very much about your World Nuclear Association's performance report. It says that the world in 2024 is making more nuclear energy than ever before.
Exactly.
Is that growth continuing?
That's what we hope, right? So 2024, we have the highest generation ever and also the highest capacity factors ever. So this tells you that the existing nuclear fleet is performing really well. Of course, now the key is to maintain and to increase that performance. So as you said, we are trying to make the most of the existing fleet, but we are also continuing to build new nuclear power plants.
Okay, so large tech companies like Meta, now they are making long-term nuclear power deals because data centers need more energy.
Right.
Are these long-term contracts the best way to raise money to keep old nuclear reactors running as well as build new ones?
Well, I think that many of these technology companies, Google, Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, they have these different approaches, right? Some of them are restarting existing nuclear power plants and using this massive amount of energy with, as you said, long-term contracts. But then we have other companies that are investing in new reactors. So we have investment in Kairos, investment in Next Energy. So this is generation 4 reactors. So this is a dual approach, right? The existing technology for the short term and the small modular reactors for the immediate upcoming middle term.
Okay. Talk to us about nuclear energy bottlenecks, challenges, as it relates to Asia today.
Okay. Well, in Asia, as you know, we have China, we have India. So with these countries there is really not a lot of bottlenecks there. But we have parts of Asia like ASEAN countries that are, for the most part, newcomer countries. So we really need to make sure that the infrastructure is developed in these countries. We are talking legal, regulatory, workforce infrastructure. And then, of course, we need to make sure that we have the financing, that we develop the supply chains and the workforce to actually launch these nuclear programs.
Southeast Asia countries are sharing electricity across the borders. They are building much needed power lines, power grids.
Yeah.
It's going to cost something like $100 billion by 2045. How does reliable nuclear energy play its role in this?
I think it's going to be essential because they are going to be able to share this capacity across Southeast Asia. So I think that, we have seen this in Europe and we are seeing in North America how connectivity is definitely helping to support each other. And this regional approach is going to be very fruitful, I think, for ASEAN countries.
Okay. Japan, of course, has many nuclear reactor plants. But their electricity grids are actually struggling to keep up.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So what can other countries learn from the Japan experience?
Well, what we are seeing in Japan right now is that they are accelerating as much as they can to restart all the units that exist. And frankly, they are also contemplating whether they are going to need additional units built in Japan to meet this 22% of their electricity demand by 2050. So clearly, Japan is a country with a lot of experience, and I'm certain that they are going to be quite happy to share that experience with other ASEAN countries, as is Korea. South Korea is also a very experienced country in nuclear.
And China is busy building new nuclear plants, 20 in the pipeline?
So right now they have 20 or so plants under construction. But China is actually, obviously they are very focused on their domestic market. At the same time, they have supported construction of new nuclear power plants in Pakistan. So I'm sure that they would also be quite happy to share their experience and their learnings with ASEAN countries.
Because I was just about to ask, does this affect Asia in any way at all for things like, for example, spare parts, building skills, construction? know-how?
You know, the good news about nuclear is this is a very global industry. So even though we have different reactor designs, we have different technologies, the reality is we have global supply chains, we have global know-how, global expertise. So, and you see this everywhere. I mean, you have multinational teams that are working together, for example, in the United Arab Emirates, in Bangladesh, in Turkey, in the UK, in Czech, in France. So I think that gives you get more assurance that, you know, this energy independence that we all are trying to achieve is easier with nuclear.
Singapore, of course, also exploring nuclear, and it's interested in small modular reactors.
Right.
Tell us about, for a city-state like Singapore, by the sea, the safety requirements that would need to be in place for nuclear to enter the energy mix for Singapore.
Well, as you know, we have global standards, we have international conventions for the design, the construction, the operation, the maintenance of nuclear power plants, and obviously Singapore will have to abide by all those. And there are very many small modular reactor designs, including the floating reactors. I think that you've heard about those that essentially can be plugged into a city like Singapore and provide energy. So there is many options for a city-state like Singapore that are available to the government of Singapore if and when that decision is made.
And modular reactors these days are much safer than, say, nuclear reactors of, say, 50 years ago?
Well, I mean, the nuclear industry, as you know, we continue to learn from more than 60 years of operation. So clearly the way we operate reactors today, the way we maintain reactors today make them always safer and better. And yes, the advanced reactor designs, they are going to be more effective. They are going to be built modularly in factories. And these are going to probably make them more affordable and faster to deploy in places like Singapore.
Okay, final question. What's the biggest hurdle right now in terms of nuclear projects being financeable?
You know, we are seeing that the finance community is quite keen to finance nuclear projects. So what they need to have is a little bit of clarity on the long-term viability of the projects. So in that sense, these public-private partnerships, when the government, more than anything, gives the long-term vision, are becoming very, very successful. I mean, we just saw this in the UK with the financing of SIEW, where we have a bunch of private investors working together with the UK government.
Okay, Sama, it was very good to talk to you. Thank you for those updates. That was Sama Bilbao y León, Director General of the World Nuclear Association.